2012, in the July 2012, I became ill because of an infection, according to the doctor, in my foot bottom. I could see the black fluid in my foot bottom moving around. It was tender. I couldn't put any weight on it. I couldn't walk. And I decided I have to go to the hospital. So I went to the hospital. They did tests on it, x-ray, ultrasound, and they came back and said to me that there's an infection in my foot because of diabetes, and it's gone to the bone and to the bones, and they have to do a below knee amputation. And I said, you're not cutting my foot off. And they tried to force me. Oh, you have to cut your foot off. The infection has gone to the bones. It was two doctors that's trying to force me to doing that, and I said no. One doctor said to me, I'm surprised you're not in ICU. And I said, I am not going there, and you're not cutting off my foot. So I said to the doctor, all you can do is to cut the foot bottom where they have the black fluid moving around and drain it, and we'll take it from there. So they decided they'll do that, and they did that, drain it, put the dressing on. So she came back to me the next day and she said to me, we have a specialist coming in on Monday, and we're going to ask him to have a look at it, and we'll decide from there. I said, okay, fine. So for the weekend I was anxious, couldn't wait to see this doctor to come in and see me. So he didn't show up on Monday, but he came on Tuesday morning. He already read my notes, and they updated him what was going on. So he came with an attitude, and he started to he introduced himself. Oh, like you'd say, I'm Dr. Brown or Dr. remember his name, but he introduced himself to me and started to take the dressing off. And I said, oh, you got to soak it, because the scab started forming on it. It's going to bleed. And he replied and said, oh, because I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad guy. So I ignored him. He took the dressing off, and he looked at it. I went and looked through the window and came back to the bedside, and he looked at it again, at the wound, and he went back and looked through the window, and he came back and he looked at the wound, and he said to me, oh, you don't need to cut your foot off. He said to me, I can see some dead skin inside there. I'm going to take you back to the operating room and debride it and get rid of the dead skin and then put a vacuum on it. I said, okay, thank you very much. Now, when I didn't sign the paper for them to cut my foot off, you know what they did? They went and got a psychiatrist to come and see me. So when he came, he asked me, what's your name, your address, date of birth, and just simple things. And you know what the psychiatrist did? He went back and wrote in my notes that I'm not mentally capable of making a decision on my foot. And I was so surprised. I said, what? What made him jump to that conclusion? Just because I didn't sign the paper for them to cut my foot off. And he went back with that report. But I'm glad I put my feet down. I determined that they weren't going to cut my foot off. And I said to them, you know what? People from the church is coming here and praying for me. They're anointing me with oil and praying for me. And as soon as the doctors walked out the room, there was a chair at the bedside, and I pulled the chair up. And I pretend as if God was sitting on the chair, and I said, God, here am I telling these people that people are from the church is coming here to pray for me. God, please honor your word. You're my healer. Please honor your word. And I was only going according to how I was feeling in my body. I didn't feel sick in my body or nothing. It's just the foot down there was tender, and I could see the black fluid in it. But I determined that they weren't going to cut my foot off, and I proved God for myself. This was 2012, and I know it's 2020, and I'm still walking on my foot. So prayer does and still works. It still works. And I'd encourage anyone to always pray and seek God and have a relationship that you know you can trust him. He'll come through for you. 8 years later, and I'm still walking on my foot. Sometimes when I'm on the bed, I can see people passing in the hallway in wheelchairs with half the leg gone, one leg amputated. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe it's the same thing they have done to those people. And this is how the doctors, they make their big money when they do these big operations. You know, that's how they do it. So after the operation, and they put the vacuum on, and they did a skin graft and put over the wound on my foot bottom. And I'm fine now, and try to take care of my blood sugar. Sometimes I'm thinking I should go back to the hospital and let the doctor see me so many years later, still walking on my foot. People, trust God. Don't give up just like that, not because doctors say, but always pray and seek God's will for your life. Bless you.